Hello and welcome to this important lesson. Today we're going to make sure your website runs smoothly and quickly. You've worked really hard to build it, so let's make sure it's working at its best. Before we start, let's take a moment to see where we are in our web development journey. We just finished building and testing the website. Great job on that! Now we're moving on to step 5, optimization. This is when we make sure that everything we've built works smoothly so that your users have the best experience possible. So why is performance so important? Think about the last time you visited a slow website. It's pretty frustrating, right? Studies show that most people will leave a site if it doesn't load in just a few seconds. And we don't want that. A faster website makes visitors happy and helps your site appear higher in search engines like Google. So improving your site speed gives it a much better chance of growing online. To help us with this, we will use a tool called Lighthouse. No, it's not a real lighthouse, but it does help us see how well our website is doing. It's a free tool that's already built into the Chrome browser. Lighthouse checks your website and then gives you a detailed report on what's working well and what might be slowing things down. It's like having a website coach that shows you how to make your site faster and better. Let me show you how to use it. First, we need to open the website in an incognito window. Now you might be wondering, what is incognito window and why should we test in it? Well, an incognito window is a private browsing window in Chrome. When you use this, the browser doesn't save any cookies, cache, or browsing history. This is really important because when we're testing the website speed, we want to see a result that isn't affected by any saved data. And this can make the website load faster for returning visitors. Okay, next, let's open the developer tools in Chrome. You'll see a lot of tabs at the top. Find the one that says Lighthouse. Here you'll see some settings and a button that says Analyze Page Load. We leave the mode as it is and you'll see an option to choose the device, mobile or desktop. For now, let's select mobile. You might also notice some categories, but we'll just leave those as they are. Now go ahead and click the button. Then just sit back for a few seconds while Lighthouse checks out your website. Once it's done, you'll see a report with a performance score right at the top. This score ranges from 0 to 100. The closer you are to 100, the better your website is doing. Now, something interesting to keep in mind is that these results can vary a bit. Why? Well, it's because of many different things, like changes in network speed, the time of day you run the test, and even how much work the server is handling. Sometimes you might see a different score if you run the test again, and that's totally normal. Okay, in this lesson, I'll introduce you to the Lighthouse tool, and in the next 2 videos, we'll work on some improvements. So let's take a closer look at what this report tells us. You'll see 4 main categories: performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. Let's start with the performance section. If you look here, you can see we have a score of over 90 points. That's already amazing. And that's because we've already used some techniques while building the website to make it faster. Each of these 4 sections is really important, but the performance section shows us how fast the website runs. You might remember from an earlier lesson that the website should load in under 3 seconds. If you look at our website, you'll see it meets that goal, which is great. It means that people visiting it won't get annoyed by waiting. They'll see the content really quickly. Now, there are a few things here that help us measure how well our website is doing. Don't worry if this sounds a bit technical. You'll learn more about it as you become a better coder. For now, we're just focusing on the basics. Each of these measurements or metrics has a short description. You can click Expand View to learn more about each one. For example, first contentful paint is how long it takes for the first text or image to show up on the page. Then there's largest contentful paint, which is similar, but it measures how long it takes for the biggest element on the page to load. Today we're going to focus on these two. There are 3 other metrics listed below, but we'll skip those for now. If you scroll down, you'll see a section called Diagnostics. This is where all the problems with the website are listed. Remember, we're still in the Performance tab, so all these issues are related to how fast the website runs. The most important issues are marked in red, the less important in yellow, and the minor in gray. We're going to focus on the red and yellow ones for now. And here's an important thing to remember. When it comes to website performance, you don't need to fix every little problem. Sometimes it's just not possible. If you focus on fixing the most serious issues, you can make the biggest improvements to your website speed. Below the Diagnostics section, you'll find something called Past Audits, which is a list of everything we've done right. There's quite a lot here, so I won't go through it now. But if you're interested, I suggest checking out 2 articles from Google. One of them talks about best practices for website speed, and the other explains how to use Lighthouse. You'll find links to these articles below this video. Think of this as a little extra homework if you're feeling curious. So let's talk now about the main issues that our website has. The first one you'll see is serve images in next-gen formats. You might be wondering, what are next-gen formats? Well, if you click on this problem, it explains that image formats like WebP and AVIF provide better compression than older formats like PNG or JPEG. This means they download faster and use less data. Below it even shows us which images we need to change. So we'll need to convert some of our images from PNG or JPEG to WebP or AVIF, and we'll work on this later. There's another issue called Enable Text Compression, but this one is related to the server, so we'll skip it for now. Then we have a problem with the largest contentful paint. It takes over 2 seconds to display, and it's pointing to the image in the Hero section of the website. We'll deal with this in the next video. Another issue is eliminate render blocking resources. This is a common problem, and in this case, we'll focus on improving the way Google fonts load because they're often the main cause. I'll explain it more in the next video. There's also a minor issue about caching, which we won't address right now. You'll see that some of these problems will go away once we put the website online. Finally, there's a yellow marked issue about properly sizing images, but we'll skip that one for now. It will have a small impact on the website speed, and I want to keep things simple for you. Now, let's move on to the accessibility section. Here, we have a score of 85, meaning there's some room for improvement. One problem is that some of our images are missing alt attributes. This is true, especially for the logo and social media icons. We'll fix this. Another issue is about link text, which should be unique and easy to read. When we check the code, we see that our anchor tag for the logo doesn't have any text inside. It just has an image. This can be a problem for people using screen readers, so we'll also fix this in the next video. In the Best Practices section, we scored a perfect 100 points. Awesome! There is one small issue, but it's a bit more advanced, so we won't worry about it now. If you take a look at past audits, you'll see we've done many things right, like setting the correct aspect ratio for images, adding the HTML doc type, including the meta name viewport tag, and setting the char set. If any of these things were missing, Lighthouse would have pointed them out as problems. Lastly, there's the SEO section. Here we check if our page follows basic search engine rules. We'll cover this in video number 3 today, and I'll explain what SEO is and how we can make a few changes to our website to improve it. Oh, and one more thing. You can also run Lighthouse in desktop mode, but I would like to start with mobile first. Problems are often more visible on mobile, because websites usually load slower there than on a computer. This makes it easier to find and fix any issues. Okay, we've just covered the whole Lighthouse report. We will fix some of the serious errors in the next videos, but we'll check the website again after we put it online. The website's performance on the server is more important than how it works on our computer. And that's it for this episode. In the next video, we'll apply some of these improvements to your portfolio website. Great job, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome back. In the last video, we learned how to use Lighthouse to test our website's performance, and we got some helpful insights on what we need to improve. Now we will start making our website faster and more accessible. I'll explain everything in detail and we'll do it together. So today we will convert our images to WebP format, making them load much faster. We'll also update the HTML to use these new images. After that, we'll optimize how our fonts load to make the text appear on your website more quickly. We'll also fix the largest contentful paint problem that Lighthouse showed us, which is related to our hero image. And finally, we'll fix some accessibility issues, like adding alt text to images and fixing the links do not have a discernible name problem. Alright, let's get started. First, let's talk about images. They can slow down your website if they are too big. While working on this project, I've already done some initial optimization for you. The images in the project are in the correct sizes and have already been optimized. But very often, people add huge images to their websites. Sometimes they can be 1 or 2 megabytes or even more. Big images can slow down your website a lot. Just by optimizing images, you can make a huge difference in how fast your website loads. So whenever you start working on optimizing a project, always think about the images first. Now we will convert them to WebP format. WebP is like a magic suitcase that makes your images smaller without losing quality. Smaller images load faster. Lighthouse pointed out that our current images in JPEG and PNG formats are a bit too heavy, so we'll make them lighter using WebP. We'll use a tool called Cloudinary to convert our images to WebP. There are other options, but Cloudinary is free and easy to use. So let's go to Cloudinary's WebP converter. Once you're there, you'll see a big upload button. Go ahead and click on it. We need to convert each image in our project's images folder, so let's upload them all at once. Make sure you select all the images and don't worry about the SVG files, we can skip them for now. Cloudinary will process the images, and after a few seconds, you'll see an option to download the new WebP files. You can download each file separately or click the Download All button. Save these new files back into the Images folder in your project. Great! It's time to update the HTML. Open your index.html file in your code editor. We need to go through the file and replace every image with its new WebP version. See what I did? I just changed JPEG for WebP. Now the browser will load the lighter, faster WebP version. Let's go through the other images one by one and do the same thing. For example, if you have an image for the Tetris game project, you'll update it to the WebP format and do the same for the rest, like the Facebook clone, the Netflix clone, and so on. Just follow the same pattern. Change the file extension from JPEG or PNG to WebP. Oof, that was a bit of work, but now our HTML is pointing to the new optimized WebP images, which means the website will load much faster. Finally, we need to check if everything works well. As you can see, all the images look exactly the same as before. It's good. So we can remove the PNG and JPEG files from the Images folder. We don't need them anymore. Now let's talk about fonts. Remember how Lighthouse showed us that our Google fonts slowed down the page a bit? That's because the browser has to download the fonts from Google servers before showing the text. And this process can take time. And if it's too slow, you might see a moment where the text is missing or suddenly changes when the custom font finally loads. This makes the website feel slow. Also, what if Google servers are down? Your font might not load at all. To avoid this, we will host the font directly in our project. And here's how we do it. First, we need to download the font files we want to use. Let's go to the fonts.google.com website. In the search bar, type Fira code. Click on the font when it shows up in the list. Click the Get Font button and download it. Now that we have the font files, let's add them to our project. Unzip the file you just downloaded. Inside, you'll see a few files. The most interesting for us is the TTF file, Fira code variable font weight. It's a collection of different versions of Fira code font in one file. Okay, let's create a new folder now. Let's call it Fonts. Move this TTF file from the zip into the New Fonts folder. And that's it. Now we have the font files ready to go. Let's go back to where we downloaded the fonts to get some information from Google. There's a section here called How to Use. Let's click Self-Hosting Web Fonts. According to Google, the main difference between implementing web fonts that we host ourselves versus those from a web font delivery service, such as Google Fonts or Adobe Fonts, is that there's no need to reference a third-party service in the head of your HTML document. You can simply add font face code to one of your own style sheets. Okay, so we need to add a font face. But what is it? It's a way in CSS to tell the browser where the font files are located and how to use them. And it looks like this. We write it with the @ symbol at the beginning. Inside we specify the font family, font style, font weight, and as an src attribute, we tell the browser where to find the font files. We tell the browser the path to the file and its format. Don't worry if it looks a bit technical. It's just a way to tell the browser where the font is located. You don't need to remember it very carefully. You can find the information about font face and how to use it online if needed. Since we are hosting the font ourselves, we no longer need the link to Google Fonts. So let's remove it. Now the browser doesn't need to download the font from Google servers. We have it already. And because the font is right there, the text will appear on the screen much faster. Okay, finally let's check if the font still works. Yes, the website looks the same as before. Great! We can go to another step, working with the largest contentful paint. As you can remember from the previous video, this measures how quickly the largest visible element on your page loads. In our case, it's that big hero image at the top of our web page. If this image loads slowly, it makes your whole website feel slow. But before we dive in to fix this, let's run the Lighthouse again and check if the website's performance has changed after our fixes so far. Open the Lighthouse again and click the Analyze Page Load button. And take a look. We have a higher score in the performance section. Good job! Let's open the Eliminate Render Blocking Resources issue and see if the Google fonts are still there. They disappeared. It means we fixed this. There are still some CSS files here, but as I told you, we will skip them for now. I can't see the Serve Images in Next-Gen Formats issue here. And it's good because we fixed it. Now, this issue is among past audits. It's not an issue anymore. What's more, you can see that we no longer have the largest contentful paint problem, right? Why is that? It's because we changed the hero image to WebP format and speed up the loading process thanks to this change. Now the largest contentful paint element is loaded very fast and we no longer have this problem. As you can see, sometimes you change one thing, which can fix more than one issue. So we can go to the Accessibility section and fix two other issues. First, we need to add alt text to images, especially our logo and social media icons. Right now, these elements are missing descriptions, which means that people using screen readers won't know what these images represent or where these links go. Let's fix that. Since we've already worked with alt text, you know it's used to describe images on a website, so people using screen readers can understand what those images are. For example, adding alt text to a logo helps the screen reader say, "This is the website's logo." So let's add now alt text for the logo. We can write it simply Jane Doe's logo. But what happens when you have an icon that acts as a button or link, like the social media icons? Just describing what the icon looks like using alt text isn't always helpful. This is where the ARIA label comes in. ARIA label is a new attribute you'll learn today. It's like a label for links, buttons, or other elements that don't have text on them. Think of it this way. ARIA label is like putting a name tag on an element that doesn't speak for itself. For example, when you have a small Facebook icon on your page, a person can see it's for Facebook, but the screen reader can't see it. ARIA label allows us to give that icon a name or label that tells the screen reader what the icon is supposed to do. This is different from alt text, which is used to describe what an image is. For example, if we have a Facebook icon that is also a link, we need to tell the screen reader this icon takes you to our Facebook profile. That's the purpose of ARIA label. If we only used alt text and said Facebook icon, the screen reader user wouldn't know that it's a link or where it leads. ARIA label explains the action, like visit our Facebook profile. Let's look at the code for a Facebook icon on our website. Right now, screen readers don't know what this icon does. This is where ARIA label comes in. Let's add it to describe what this icon does. Now, when a screen reader comes across this link, it will say, "Visit our Facebook profile." This way, the user knows exactly what clicking this icon will do. And in this case, we leave the alt text empty for an image because the ARIA label on the link already describes the icon's purpose. If we added both, it could be confusing, as the screen reader might read both the alt text and the ARIA label. Without ARIA label, icons that act as links or buttons are just images to screen readers. They don't tell users what clicking the icon will do. By adding ARIA label, we're giving these elements a name tag that explains their action. So remember, ARIA label is how we give names to icons that are links or buttons. And what about empty alt text? It's another important part of accessibility. When we use them, we tell screen readers, you can skip this image because it doesn't add important information. In some cases, adding a description for an image isn't necessary because the image is purely decorative. Okay, so let's fix the icons now. We need to add ARIA label text for each of them and the empty alt text for icon images. And remember, we have them in 3 places in the project. It is in the About Me section, Contact section, and Footer, right? Great! Now let's run the Lighthouse report again to make sure that we fix the problem with alt text. Wow! This time we have a full score, 100 points. We don't have the alt text issue anymore. But wait a minute. By doing this, we've also fixed another accessibility issue called links do not have a discernible name. But what does that mean and how did our changes fix it? Let's go through it. When we say links do not have a discernible name, it means that the links on our website don't have a clear label that tells screen readers what they are. And by adding ARIA label, we gave each link a clear name. This makes it easier for people using screen readers to understand what each link does. So that's why both issues are gone. And we passed the accessibility test with the maximum score. Good job! And it looks like we just finished fixing the issues. And remember, what we covered today is just the beginning of website optimization. There are many more advanced techniques out there, but those are outside the scope of this course. For now, you've learned some of the most important basics. And I'm so proud of the progress you're making. In the next video, we'll look into SEO optimizations to help your website get noticed. Keep up the amazing work and I'll see you in the next lesson. Hello again! You've been doing an amazing job so far, making your website faster and more accessible. Now it's time to focus on SEO, or Search Engine Optimization. Before we jump in, let's take a moment to understand what SEO is. SEO is a way to make your website easier to find on search engines like Google. Think of it as putting up a big sign that helps guide people to your website when searching for specific keywords like web developer. Why does this matter? Most people click on the first few results they see. If your website is optimized for search engines, it has a much better chance of showing up at the top so that more people can find and enjoy your work. That's why we're making these simple SEO improvements today. The steps we're covering are just the basics of SEO, but even small changes like this can make a big difference. So let's start by explaining how SEO works. Imagine you have a small, cozy cafe in a busy city. You make the best coffee and pastries, but here's the problem. People don't know about your cafe yet. To bring in customers, you put up a sign outside that says, "Cozy Cafe, best coffee and pastries in town." You also put up smaller signs around the neighborhood pointing people to your cafe. Now think of your website as that cafe, and SEO is like those signs. Adding things like a meta description, clear headings, and alt text for images is like putting up signs that help search engines understand what your website offers. When someone types "best coffee in town" into Google, your website has a better chance of showing up because you've included the right words. But SEO isn't just about what you say. It's also about how you say it. Meta description is like the tagline on your cafe sign. When you use words that match what people are looking for, like best coffee, search engines know that your website might be what they need. So if you're building a web developer portfolio, including phrases like web development projects in your description, helps people find you. Headings are like sections of your cafe's menu. If everything is labeled properly, visitors and search engines can easily find what they're looking for. For your website, using headings like H1 and H2 in the right places makes it clear what each section is about. It's like showing the search engine, "Hey, This section is about my skills, and this one is about my projects. Alt text for images is like describing a photo to someone who can't see it. It helps search engines understand what the image is showing, which can also improve your chances of showing up in image searches. And you have to know that search engines don't have eyes. That's why alt texts are so important. So SEO is all about making your website clear and easy to understand for both people and search engines. Just like putting up signs and spreading the word about your cafe, optimizing your website tells the world where to find you and what you offer. When we ran Lighthouse earlier, it pointed out that our page doesn't have a meta description. A meta description is a short summary that helps search engines and visitors understand what your page is about. So open your index.html file. In the head section, you'll see the title tag. Now let's add a meta description right below it. It will look like this. Here we use name attribute with description value to tell the search engine this is a summary of our page. Then, in content, we write a short description that includes keywords like portfolio and web development. This helps search engines match your website to what people are searching for. Lighthouse also noticed that some of our images were missing alt text. And the good news is that we already fixed the alt text issues when we worked on accessibility in the last video. Let's review our code to make sure we didn't miss anything. Look in your index.html file for the images. Here's an example of the alt text we added for the hero section. And this is great because it clearly explains what the image shows. We also added alt text to our project images. These descriptions are simple and clear, which is exactly what we want. Now about the social media icons. You might notice we left the alt attribute empty. And remember why did we do this? We left it empty because we used ARIA label on the link itself to describe its purpose. This is the best way to handle decorative images when the link already has a description. Adding more text could confuse screen readers, so we're keeping it simple. It looks like we already have everything done here. So, let's go to the headings. Headings are like signposts for your content. They guide both visitors and search engines through your page. In the index.html file, please take a look at our main heading, H1. This is perfect. It's clear, descriptive, and includes important keywords. Next, let's check the other headings. For About Me and Projects, for example, we use H2 tags. This structure is exactly what we want. Each section is clearly labeled, making it easier for search engines to understand your content. Now that we've made these changes, let's run Lighthouse again to see our results. Open your website in incognito mode again, go to Developer Tools and click the Lighthouse tab. Run the SEO audit. And great news! If you followed these steps, you should now see a 100 score in the SEO section. This means we've fixed the basic SEO issues that Lighthouse found. But we're not done just yet. Remember the example of the cafe and how the search results looked? There was the name, Cozy Cafe, the URL and the description, best coffee and pastries in town, right? But there was something else, a small logo on the left side. This is called a favicon, and it's an important part of SEO for every website. As you can see, the favicon shows up in search results. You can also find it in the tab of your Open Browser page. Now it's time to add a favicon to our portfolio website. Below this video, you'll find a link to download the favicon. I've already prepared it for you by just modifying our logo. I kept only the initials, JD. It's important to remember that favicons are usually in a file format with the extension ICO. This is a special format for icons. If you ever want to change an image to the ICO file, you'll find easily many free online generators to help you do that. Let's move on to adding the favicon to our page. We'll do this in a similar way to how we added CSS styles to the HTML file, using the link element. We need to add two attributes to it. The first one is rel, which specifies exactly what the element is. We used the value style sheet for CSS files, but we'll write icon in this case. The second attribute is href because we need to specify which file we want to use as the favicon. Here we'll write favicon.ico. Great! Now there's only one thing left. Let's check if our icon appears. So let's open the page in the browser. And there are no changes here. The favicon isn't showing up. Why is that? We just need to reopen the browser. Please close the browser now and reopen it. And there it is. A small icon shows up in the left corner of the tab. Awesome, we've completed another important SEO element. And great job! Today we made some simple but powerful changes to improve your website's SEO. We added a meta description to help search engines understand your page. We also reviewed alt text in images. And we checked our heading structure to make sure it was clear and well organized. We also added a favicon to the website. And remember, what we've done today is just the beginning of SEO. There are many more advanced techniques to explore as you grow as a developer. The important thing is that you're already making your website more visible to the world. And can you believe it? We've just finished day 20 of the CODER Woman Challenge. Today we completed the optimization part of our 7-step web development process, and that's a big win. By working on performance, accessibility, and SEO, you've made your website not just beautiful, but also easy to use and find. Take a deep breath and give yourself a big pat on the back. You did it! Tomorrow is day 21, our last and most exciting day. We'll move on to the final 2 steps: launching your website, step 6, and learning about maintenance to keep it running smoothly, step 7. We'll also review everything you've learned during this 21-day challenge and talk about what's next for you. And I am so proud of you. You have put so much energy and heart into this challenge, and that is amazing. This journey is not just about building a website. It's about discovering what you can do and how strong and creative you are. Take a moment to celebrate how far you've come. Rest up tonight and let's meet tomorrow for the final step. I am so excited to help you put your beautiful website online for everyone. Remember, I'm here with you every step of the way. You've got this. You are capable, you are strong, and this is just the beginning of all the great things you will do. See you tomorrow.